Hello, goblins. It's Chris, Eldritch Pipes. Right, here we are. The last hurdle. Well, the last two hurdles. Episodes 9 and 10. Okay, so I'm not going to prattle on about what we're going to get. It's all coming to a head, as you'll see. Kennedy is in a dire situation, we know that. So it's up to Matthew to try and figure out what's going on, and Kennedy might have to just get resourceful on getting herself out of the pickle. I'm going to be smoking Ken Byron's Mountains of Madness, appropriately, and I'm working on a trumpet, Dolomort pipe. And I've got a fair bit to do technically on it, so I'm probably going to be spending both episodes working on that one. So I don't think we're going to move during these two episodes. So I'm going to crack on. So without further ado, episode 9, Charles Dexter Ward.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
The following recording was sent to me by Dr. Mark Lyman just prior to his death. As far as we've been able to tell, it is authentic. The recording was made on a phone and it was sent to Lyman by Dr. Jonathan Willett at 10:37 p.m. on the 31st of May 2018. That means Willett sent it just a few minutes after he murdered Lucy Hawthorne.
This is Jonathan Willett. It's 9:42 in the evening on May 31st, 2018. I'm standing outside. It doesn't matter. If anyone is hearing this, you'll know where I am. If you're listening to this recording, this is how it ended.
Hello?
Lucy Hawthorne.
Yeah?
My name's Willett, Jonathan Willett. I'm a doctor.
What kind of doctor?
I'm a psychiatrist.
Okay.
May I speak with you?
What is this about?
Your cousin was a patient of mine.
I don't actually have a cousin.
Yes, Charles Dexter Ward. I don't believe you ever met. He lived in the United States.
So how exactly are we related?
Through a man named Joseph Kerwin.
Okay, I don't know that name either. So
May I have a few moments of your time?
No, I'm sorry.
I have credentials.
I'm sure you do, but whatever you show me, I'm not qualified to judge the authenticity.
I'm not lying to you.
But you understand, I'm just not going to let anyone walk into my
Yeah, but
flat.
I know who you are.
Okay, you need to leave, or I'm going to call the police.
Jij een jong soort. Legli vijf frodog
I don't have any money, but you can take my cards. I'll give you the pin numbers.
Otro I gleb.
I'm going to get up off the floor. My boyfriend is due home at any minute.
Sothot yangai stro. Yok sothot yangai stro.
You're not even saying it right. Yang, yok, sothos. He lived fair floro, Ogthroraif, Believe, Yok Sodof, Yang, I, Zoho. I am who you seek.
Who Aya?
I have many names. I have it many vessels.
Only one now. Charles Dexter Ward is dead. I killed him. Or rather, I destroyed what he had become.
I know what you are. I've seen the experiments in the tunnels.
Now you've come to kill this poor little girl.
To do whatever it takes to stop you.
You do not understand the truth of things.
I won't see this girl go through what Charles went through. I saw him at the end. He had become...
Glorious.
A monster.
You cannot see the world as it is. Let me show you the beauty.
No. Take my hand. No.
Take my hand, Dr. Willett. If you want to understand, you need to see it. You came here to kill me.
No, not you.
I can understand why. Please. This is where I go in my dreams. It's beautiful. Gaze upon the real and rejoice.
I have seen the face of God, and it is terrible.
I'm Matthew Hayward, and this is The Mystery Machine.
Vodka lime?
Great, thank you.
Can I get you something to drink, sir?
Certainly you can. I'll have a whiskey, please, on the rocks.
Did you have a particular whiskey in mind? We have...
Oh, no, whatever you think.
No problem.
I had you down as a beer drinker.
Is that right?
Or scotch, I suppose. Neat, a hard-drinking reporter, 3 sheets to the wind, but sharp as a tack.
Not so sharp, I guess. You had me fooled. Dr. Allen.
I really wanted that filet mignon. Murder makes one absolutely ravenous, don't you find?
I wouldn't know.
Well, the night is young. Shall we go somewhere a bit quieter?
Let's not.
You'd rather I just confessed all right here?
She'd rather you confessed all to her tape recorder.
Barbara Sayers has just joined us.
Was that for the benefit of the tape?
I think we'd benefit from a little privacy for the moment, don't you?
Hello.
It's Ezra Wheaton. Have you heard from Kennedy?
Not recently.
She was supposed to be having dinner with this George Shepley character.
Right.
The's no such person.
George is the librarian.
No, he isn't. George Shepley doesn't exist. But I think whoever this guy is, he just killed Dr. Lyman and his assistant.
Oh, Jesus. Well, where is Kennedy?
She's not here. I called her to warn her, and she was already at the restaurant. I'm here now, and there's no sign of Kennedy. The maitre d' says she left with Shepley and another woman.
What woman?
I can't get a useful description out of anyone. Older, maybe 50s or 60s.
Oh, okay, I'm going to see if I can track her phone.
I tried that. It's switched off. Everything she's recorded, you got, right?
Yes.
Everything?
Yeah, she uploads all her audio to our server every day. She did an upload a couple of hours ago.
Okay, so there's no reason for them to hurt her to stop anything getting out.
No.
Unless they have people coming for you, too.
I'm safe here.
All right. Well, I'm going to make some calls and get the security camera footage from the parking lot here. Any calls you can make.
We should call the police.
I'll take care of that. Anything you think would be helpful, you do it. I'm on this number.
I knew the woman who left that restaurant with Kennedy and George Shepley must be Barbara Sayers. Everything we thought we knew about Shepley was a lie, but I figured I might have a slim chance of tracking Barbara Sayers.
Hello?
Melissa Talbot, it's Matthew Hayward. We spoke a few weeks ago about your sister.
Oh, dear. You're not very bright, are you, Mr. Hayward?
Barbara Sayers. There was never a sister.
You're finally catching on.
Why pretend? What was the point of that?
Someone had to put you on the right track. Honestly, you were hopeless. Pathetic, really, stumbling around in the dark.
I don't understand.
No, that was all too apparent. But you've done your job now. And I'm still in the midst of mine, and I'm afraid I'm rather busy.
Where's Kennedy?
Goodbye, Mr. Hayward.
And that's when it all started to come together for me, I think. The final pieces of the puzzle. I didn't know what Shepley and Barbara Sayers wanted with Kennedy, but I was starting to realise that they'd been following us as avidly as we were following them. and that we were playing into their hands. And I remembered what Shepley, as Dr. Allen, had said to me after he killed Dr. Lyman.
Dr. Lyman?
Amelia Fenner had a child.
Dr. Allen. Charles Dexter Ward is dead. Lucy Hawthorne is dead. Shepley and Sayers are looking for another vessel for Ipkuaya, someone who shares DNA with Joseph Kerwin. And we had unwittingly found one for them. Amelia Fenner was in the New Forest Coven with Kerwin. If she had his child... Hi, I really need to see Amelia Fenner.
I'm sorry, Mr...
Hayward.
Are you a relative?
No, I'm not. I was here last week talking to her.
Well, I'm afraid
I appreciate it's the middle of the night, but this is very important.
No, it's not that.
No, this is very important.
Amelia passed away, I'm afraid.
She died?
Very peacefully.
When?
A few hours ago.
What did she die of?
I'm afraid if you're not a relative,
No, okay,
I can't...
I understand. Did she have any visitors before she...
I'm not a... Are you suggesting that...
No, I'm not suggesting anything. I'm just asking the question.
I wouldn't be able to give out that kind of information.
Because I'm not a relative.
Those are the rules.
Did she have any relatives?
Again, I'm sorry, I can't...
No, I get it. Thank you.
Hello again. Nice to see you up and about.
Amelia Fenner is dead.
Yeah, so I heard. Made me very sad.
Was it you?
Oh, that's charming. Second time we've met and you're accusing me of murdering an old lady.
Well, the first time we met, I ended up in hospital.
Yeah, I have that effect on people.
Did you kill her?
I'd advise you not to answer that question. Mr. Hayward, Godfrey Tillinghast. I'm an avid listener to your pod thingy. Might we have a word in private?
Hi, you're through to the Mystery Machine. I'm sorry no one's here to take your call, but please leave a message after the tone and someone will get back to you right away.
That was your friend, Mr. Hayward. I don't know what he'd do without you. He's nothing to do with this.
Actually, he's everything to do with this, but we really don't care about Matthew Hayward anymore. He served his purpose.
What purpose?
Who do you imagine you and Mr. Hayward have been working for?
We don't work for anyone.
Quite right. I'll rephrase that. Who do you think has been financing your little radio show? That cash injection that Matthew was so excited about a couple of months ago?
That doesn't make sense. Why?
Because of you, Kennedy. Because of what the two of you uncovered. Something we've been looking for quite some time.
I don't... Oh, it doesn't matter. And we don't have time for this.
Barbara's jumping.
Make your pitch. You know she's going to say no.
We want you to join us.
I don't. I want to gut you like a fish.
I want you to join us.
I'm Team Barbara.
No. You're curious, you're interested, and more importantly, you have seen.
What have I seen?
You've seen wonders. The seeds of creation beneath the Kerwin house.
Yours and Charles Dexter Ward's science experiments. I don't know what I saw, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't wondrous.
We need people like you, Kennedy.
You're a pair of psychopaths who've hitched your wagon to a bunch of mumbo-jumbo fairy tale bullshit.
We are legion.
You're tragic.
Oh, wake up. Look at the world around you.
Yeah, it's all fucked. You think you're the solution?
Kennedy, no. We're not the solution. We're the reason. You think a religion exists in secret for 2,500 years, and all it amounts to is the two people standing in front of you now? We're nobodies. Nothing. We are a tiny, tiny cog in an enormous machine. Your whole investigation has led you to uncover just the smallest glimmer of a truth so big you couldn't begin to comprehend it. And that's what we're offering you now. The greatest truth about the world, about human beings, about who we are and why we're here.
It's just turtles all the way down?
Oh, if you think it's a big secret you've infiltrated the establishment, we already know about killing gas.
We haven't infiltrated the establishment. We are the establishment.
And yet, whatever it is you're looking for, you need me to find it. That doesn't sound like you have things sewn up, does it?
Barbara,
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to show the world as it really is.
This world you've created for us is really rather sinister, don't you think?
I've created it.
Well, it's certainly someone's fabrication.
Where are we going?
Oh, well, we wouldn't want to spoil it, would we? I'm sure your listeners would prefer a little suspense. You are recording this, I take it?
Yes, I am.
And you don't need me to sign some sort of release form?
Well, not now that I have you acknowledging the recording, no.
Oh, very good, yes.
So you're saying I've made all this up?
Well, I don't want to point the finger specifically. From what I can tell, a few different people seem to have been pulling your leg, and then you seem to have joined some rather improbable dots.
And who would that be?
Well, those Americans, mainly. No idea what their game is, do you?
You knew Joseph Kerwin.
I'd never even heard the name before someone pointed me to your radio show.
Barbara Sayers was the nanny to your granddaughter.
Poor Lucy, I do wish she hadn't been dragged into this. I'm sure she had several nannies. I can't say that I recall meeting any of them.
And your grandnephew, Charles Dexter Ward?
Well, obviously he existed, but I never met him. Eliza and I didn't speak for the last 20 years of her life.
Why not?
Because she was dedicated to the resurrection of an ancient Mesopotamian sorcerer. You really are quite the most credulous person I have ever met, Mr. Hayward. We're here. One can't entirely blame you, of course. You're the kind of person who needs everything to fit together neatly into a story. I'm afraid some people have rather taken advantage of you in this respect.
Where are we?
All in good time.
Ordinarily, we would not allow recording devices
Oh,
anywhere.
you put a sock in a grab. This door. After you, Mr. Hayward. Mr. Hayward, allow me to present Dr. Jonathan Willett.
Oh, dear God.
Is it me or was that quite short? Alright, I'm going to dive straight into episode 10, so hang on to your horses.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Mr. Hayward, allow me to present Dr. Jonathan Willett.
Oh, dear God. What happened? What happened to him?
I can hear you,
I'm told he somehow got access to the kitchens and tried to tip a pan of boiling water over his own head.
Is that what you heard?
One of the orderlies managed to catch his arm in time and stop the worst of it, but he lost his sight and, well, you can see the damage for yourself.
You did this to yourself?
If you say so.
Dr. Willett, my name is Matthew Hayward. I make a podcast called The Mystery Machine, and we're investigating the case of Charles Dexter Ward.
It's all gone. All gone.
He's gone. Yes, where did he go?
He's gone. He's vanished into dust.
Into dust.
As you can see, he doesn't make very much sense.
Actually, that might make some sense. What is that? Is it an invocation from the Necronomicon?
I have seen the face of God.
And it is terrible.
I thought you two would get along famously. Warden!
Yes,
Time's up now.
Right.
As you can see, Mr. Hayward, Dr. Willett is severely...
Doolally. That's how you describe the man who murdered your granddaughter?
Very well. Murderously doolally. The reason I brought you here, Mr. Hayward, the reason I twisted the warden's arm to allow you in and to allow you to record, is that I would like to put a stop to this nonsense for the sake of my family, for my granddaughter's memory, for the sake of truth and sanity. I have no idea what Dr. Willett got up to in America or what caused his mind to snap, but you can very well see that it has snapped, and that the death of poor Lucy was a consequence of that.
Well, I'm not sure that...
You have fabricated a story.
We haven't fabricated anything.
Well, then you've been misled. Either way, this program of yours is causing considerable distress, and I would like it to stop. You've seen the condition of Dr. Willett. He's not a reliable witness to the events you claim to have uncovered, so either you stop now, or I will bring to bear the full weight of the courts.
And you want me to tell a judge all about the beating I received at the hands of your friend out in the car?
I know nothing about that.
No, of course you don't. And you know nothing about Joseph Kerwin or your wife and your sister's involvement with the...
This is what I'm talking about. It's called defamation, Mr. Hayward. It carries severe legal and financial penalties. I'm not the man you want to tangle with in these matters.
And yet, here we are.
Excuse me?
Tangling. I haven't said a single thing about you or your family that can't be corroborated by witnesses
Mr. Hayward.
or backed up by published material. So tangle away, because I'm going to continue telling this story.
There is no story. None of this is true.
Well, that's duly noted and recorded. I'll make sure that everything you've said here is broadcast. I wouldn't want to be accused of censoring you. I think we're done here, aren't we? And at that point, I stormed out of the room. I made the storming out as theatrical as I could, because I didn't want either of them to notice that I'd left the recorder on a chair still running.
That could have gone better. He'll drop this, one way or another. And even if he doesn't, no one's going to believe a word of it.
He says he has witnesses.
It's all just fake news.
I don't want to be involved in it.
Yes, I understand.
Is it some kind of secret occult language? Whatever it is, I'd heard it on the tape of Willett with Lucy Hawthorne, and a similar sound is present on some of the early Ward Willett tapes, though it's not clear there where it's actually coming from. Is it Ward speaking, or is it an ambient sound in the room? Turning all this over in my mind, I crashed out and slept for about 10 hours solid. I think that's the most I've slept since we started this story. It's certainly the most relaxed I've felt. Why is that, I wonder? Certainly there should be things to worry about. But maybe it all seems so big now, so all-encompassing, that it's impossible to process. I've worried about repercussions, about being sued, or worse. And now all that has come to pass. I've been put in hospital, Kennedy has vanished again, and now here's Dr. Willett, clearly insane and horribly disfigured, and certainly no use as a witness to anything. And Godfrey Tillinghast, one of the most powerful men in the country, is promising to sue us if we continue with the show. So maybe my brain just shut down. When I woke up, it was the middle of the afternoon. There were a bunch of missed calls on my phone and an email from Godfrey Tillinghast's lawyers, assuring me I would be receiving a cease and desist letter via courier in the next few hours. I got dressed and I went into the studio. And when I got there, Kennedy Fisher was waiting for me. Okay, wait a sec. Yeah, I'm recording. So, I've just walked into the studio and Kennedy...
Everything has to be recorded?
This is Ezra. Ezra, this is Matt.
Hi, where were you?
The good old US of A.
Yes, I know. Where have you been?
We landed a couple of hours ago, left in a bit of a rush.
What happened?
Shepley and Sayers. She's still out there somewhere.
Okay, so where?
Amelia Fenner. She had a child.
Yes, I know.
It's Joseph Kerwin's kid.
Amelia Fenner died last night.
How?
Officially of old age. I have my suspicions.
We need to find the kid. There's no record of any family.
I know. I think she must have given the kid up for adoption. Either that, or she left it somewhere to be found. I suspect she wasn't the most responsible of
The
parents.
kid is who they're after.
Yes, but slow down, because there's no way we can find an adopted
I could make
child.
some calls.
Who to?
They were done with us, Shepley and Sayers.
When you say done?
They'd been funding the show because they wanted us to find something. They wanted us to find the next heir to Joseph Kerwin.
But we didn't.
We did. They didn't know about Amelia Fenner. They probably never even heard the name before you found her. But that's what they were looking for. And somehow, they now know she had a child.
But how? I didn't even know until Shepley or Alan, whoever he is, told me.
But they know, which means she's ahead of us.
Who's she?
Barbara Sayers.
What about Shepley? Where's he?
Talk to Ezra.
Okay, where's Shepley?
Can we do this in private?
Yes, go. Leave me alone. Talk to Ezra.
Fine. What's up with her? What happened?
You need to turn that off.
Well, this is what we do. This is...
I don't give a shit. Turn it off.
Okay, it's off. If this had been Kennedy, I'd have turned the recorder off without a second thought. But I didn't know Ezra, and I didn't want anything he told me not to be on the record.
Shepley is dead.
How? What happened?
After I spoke to you, I got a buddy of mine to track Kennedy's phone.
I thought the phone was off.
Yeah, and then it came back on again. Anyway, they were at a motel outside of town. I headed over there, and I didn't plan on doing anything more than confirming this was where Kennedy was and then calling the cops. But then I got to the door and I heard her screaming. So I busted in. Shepley came at me. He had a knife in his hand. I shot him. The woman, Barbara Sayers, was heading out the back way, and Kennedy was just hunched in the corner, her head tucked between her knees. She was catatonic or something. I never saw anything like that. Non-responsive. So I stayed with her and got her out of there, rather than go after Sayers.
Ezra said there was a strong smell of incense in there and some symbols drawn on the floor in chalk, and it was his impression that some kind of ritual had been taking place. He says Kennedy wasn't speaking or responding, but she seemed to be physically okay. He put her in his car and drove away. What he should have done is called the cops and faced the music, because he supposedly shot George Shepley in self-defense. Ezra, for whatever reason, decided not to do that. Instead, he drove back to Kennedy's hotel, collected her things, and got them both on the first plane to London. I don't think George Shepley had a knife. I think that's why Ezra didn't call the cops. Maybe he thought Shepley was armed. Maybe he knew he wasn't, but what he walked in on made him... I don't know. But I think he saved Kennedy's life. And if we're even half right about what Shepley and Sayers and the others have been up to, then I really don't care about the cost of that. It seemed to be a relief for Ezra to talk to someone about what had happened. I thanked him for rescuing Kennedy, and then we came back into the studio.
1962. That's when Caroline Hughes and Eliza Tillinghast both got pregnant and they fled the New Forest Coven. Amelia Fenner said that the police raid started up almost immediately, supposedly on Godfrey Tillinghast's say-so.
Well, he seems to be back on board with the whole thing now.
Because he had control of the Ipcoia bloodline. His wife and his sister are both carrying Kerwin's children. He didn't need Kerwin anymore. Anyway, not the point. Amelia Fenner told you that Kerwin left the coven within a week or so. Supposing that was his window, he'd lost track of the two potential heirs, so he needed insurance.
Amelia Fenner?
And she said that she left the coven soon after that. She said she hooked up with some witches over in Winchester, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a story here from the local paper in Winchester. A baby being left on the steps of a hospital in 1963.
Well, that's a leap.
It's right.
How do you know?
I don't know, but I know. It feels right.
What happened to the kid? It goes into the system?
Which means it disappears without trace.
Nope. It was a girl. They called it Destiny. The nurses at the hospital. Thank you, hippies. So, a girl called Destiny, born in Winchester in 1963. There is one of them, unsurprisingly. Orphanage, foster homes, married a guy called Gibson in 1985 in Chelmsford, divorced in 1991, remarried in 1996 to a man named Cartwright. They had a daughter in 1999.
Well, it's not going to be Destiny thereafter then, it's the daughter.
Melody.
Oh, Jesus.
Melody Cartwright. And yes, that's who they're after. Destiny's dead.
How?
Car accident, like Charles Ward's mother.
And Lucy Hawthorne's mother was out of the picture too. Is this a pattern?
Maybe.
Where is Melody?
She's a student here at UCL. She's studying the archaeology of the Middle East.
We're outside one of the halls of residence at University College London, where Melody Cartwright lives during term time. I'm waiting outside with Ezra Whedon while Kennedy goes in to see if she can locate Melody.
Matt, Ezra, this is Akuma. She's Melody's roommate. Akuma, can you tell these guys what you told me?
Melody's away recording our podcast.
Really?
Yeah, this morning a man and a woman approached us just here as we were going to the library. They wanted to interview Melody for a show they're making.
What do these people look like?
I guess like people who make podcasts. Casual, maybe 30, white. A man and a woman.
There wasn't anyone else with them? A woman in her 60s or a well-dressed man who would be older?
I didn't see anyone else.
Tell them what the show's called.
Oh, I think Mystery Machine? Is that right? Is that a podcast?
Do you have a number for Melody or an email address? Actually, any contact details?
I already got him. Thank you. Sorry to drag you away from your work.
Is Melody in trouble?
No, don't worry. She's fine. Thanks, Akuma.
We're too late.
Yeah, I tried the phone and it's going straight to voicemail. My guess would be they've dumped it already.
Where would they take her? Kennedy.
I need to talk to you.
I'm here.
In the studio. I need to tell you what I saw.
Okay. I'm recording.
This is a lot bigger than we thought. And I don't just mean Tillinghast's involvement or whoever else.
You mean what Shepley said?
Can we not call him that? George Shepley was a nice man who didn't exist. This was Dr. Allen.
Yeah, okay.
But no, I don't just mean what he said. I'm talking about what I saw.
He said he was going to show you the world as it really is.
Yeah. And before that, in the tunnels under the trailer park.
What was in the hole? You went into that last chamber and there were those metal trapdoors in the floor. There was water down there. You opened one up.
Stop. I can't describe what it was. I can't find the words. No, that's not right. It's not me. It's not a vocabulary issue. I don't have the language. You know, that theory of linguistics that we can't talk about something that we don't have a word for. If language can't describe it and the brain can't really... You can have it in your head, but you can't get a firm grasp of it without language. There's no language to describe this thing. What was in those pits were creatures. Not animals. Not human. It was like they existed in more than 3 dimensions. You ever have a migraine?
Yeah.
And you get that thing just before it hits where your vision goes weird and you can't focus in the center. It's like the middle of your vision goes blurry.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So that's what it's like looking at this thing. My eyes are taking it in, but my brain can't make sense of it. So it won't render it as a solid, distinctive shape. It's like I have an impression of it, of how it made me feel, but I can't quite picture it in my mind.
Okay, so how did it make you feel?
I want to say scared, but actually that's not right. What I felt was more than that. I felt wonder.
What do you mean?
I was awestruck. And not because of how it looked, but because of what it was. And of course, I had no conscious idea of what it was, but at the same time, I knew what I was looking at. Believe me, I know how this sounds, but I think I was looking at something like God.
This was a creature.
In a pit, in a cavern, underneath a trailer park. Yeah, like I say, I know how it sounds. But I looked at it, and it seemed to invade my mind. It changed me.
How?
I think I experienced, for a few moments, total madness. It was like I was suddenly aware that everything in reality was a lie. And none of it made the slightest bit of sense. Science, religion, culture. It was like this disjointed white noise, and none of it connected up, and none of it really existed. Like it was all just a series of snapshots of something that I'd previously stitched together to make this fabric of reality. And now it had all come apart. Like it was ripped into tiny shreds, and there was no way to put it back together again. And then I woke up in hospital.
And you were back to normal?
Functionally, yeah. But honestly, I don't know. I feel like I know what reality is, and I recognize it. This studio, you sitting there, this coffee cup. But at the same time, I kind of know that it's all fake. It's all this intricate veil that hides what's really there.
But you don't know what's behind the veil?
I got a glimpse with Dr. Allen and Barbara Sayers. They performed a ritual just before Ezra got me out of there. And I don't know, maybe they dosed me with something. There was a city on a plane.
An old city?
Yeah, I don't know. And the creatures were there again, moving around in the streets, but again, I couldn't quite make sense of them. And there was something else, something enormous, behind the city, kind of towering over it.
A structure?
No, a thing. Again, I can't describe it, but it was alive and powerful, and it just hated. It had hate coming off it in waves, like it just exuded hate.
Do you think it was some kind of flashback? Al-Hazred claimed in the Necronomicon that he had found an underground city in the desert, that there were beings there that predated us.
I think it was that, but I don't think it was in the past. I think it's there. I think it's what's really there. It's like the reality we see and experience is a projection we're given to cover the real reality, which is that place and those creatures and that thing. That's what I saw. Do you want to call the men in white coats?
I think you should talk to someone, regardless of what this was, what you saw, real or not. And maybe it was drug-induced, from a fungus that was in that cavern or something.
And what comes of me repeating all this to a shrink?
Oh, I don't know.
Then maybe we can ask Charles Dexter Ward or Dr. Willett. They lock you up.
Yeah, well, you're not them.
That may just be wishful thinking.
Well, you can function in the world.
Only because I have to, because I have to know what this is, the truth of it.
Then we'll find it.
Yeah. I need to sleep.
Kennedy went home. Ezra went with her because he doesn't have anywhere to stay here. And I was glad she wasn't going to be on her own. I was worried about Kennedy. I don't know what really happened in those tunnels or in the room with Dr. Allen and Barbara Sayers. I trust that Kennedy believes she saw those things. But I'm mindful of what Eleanor Peck said about the power of belief. This Ipkuaya stuff is like a religion for these people. And plenty of religions involve visions or hallucinations, even drug taking. Kennedy is smart and level-headed, but she clearly experienced something that shook her sanity in some way. To be honest, at this point, my concern was more for her well-being than for the truth or otherwise of what she saw. But there was nothing I could do about any of this. Melody Cartwright was gone. We had no more leads to follow up. The story had run aground. After everything we discovered, the truth about Lucy Hawthorne's murder, the story of Ipkuaya, the ongoing existence of a conspiracy, we hadn't really solved anything. We'd exposed the top layer of a story, but I knew there was a lot more under there, and we had no real way to get at it. And we knew now that there were powerful forces ranged against us. We'd been useful to them for a while, but now they were going to do everything they could to stop us going further. I set myself the task of editing this last episode together and trying, somehow, to find a way to end this story.
Can I help you?
My name's Matthew Hayward. I'd like to see the warden, please. As I was putting this episode together, it occurred to me that there might be one question that I could finally get an answer to. I wanted to know what happened to Charles Dexter Ward. This whole thing started with him vanishing from a locked cell in an asylum in Rhode Island. Dr. Willett was the last person to see him, and given everything Willett had been through, I thought he might now have some answers as to what really happened to his patient. So I went back to Broadmoor and I spoke to the warden. He was reluctant, to say the least, to let me see Willett, so I played in the recording I'd made at our last meeting. Right, Mark?
Yeah.
Hello, Dr. Willett. I'm Matthew Hayward. We met the other night. We're alone here. The warden can't hear us. I want to know what happened to Charles Dexter Ward.
Poor Charles. He's gone, you know.
Yes, he disappeared from his cell.
No. He's gone long before that. I didn't realize. It's stupid of me. Couldn't see it. The man in that cell wasn't Charles.
I don't understand. Who was it?
It was him. It.
Joseph Kerwin?
No. There's no Kerwin either. Not for a long time. Ipkuaya. They're all Ipkuaya, moving between bodies. He called me, Charles. There's a recording. I made recording.
Yes, I have some of them.
He sent me a letter, and then I called him.
I've read the letter. The one where he said, if you see Dr. Allen, you must kill him and dissolve his body in acid. Dr. Allen is dead.
No.
Yes, he was shot dead in Providence.
Dead, you say? No, on a slab, maybe. For now, but not dead.
So this phone call, after the letter...
That was the last time I spoke to Charles.
You had him committed. You were his doctor.
But that wasn't Charles.
On the night he disappeared, you were in his room.
And that's when I understood. That wasn't him. That's why I did it.
Did what?
Because I'd seen the experiments. I'd seen what was in those pits.
You're talking about what was under the trailer park? For clarity, Dr. Willett is nodding.
Who's there?
There's no one. I'm recording the conversation.
Oh, yeah. I saw the face of God.
You saw something in those pits?
I saw demons or angels. I think they're the same. Dr.
Willett. Dr. Willett, what happened in the room with Charles Dexter Ward that night?
It wasn't him. It hadn't been him for a long time. The night of the phone call, that was him. And then after that, Charles stopped existing and it took over.
He told you this? Dr. Willett is nodding again.
Nodding.
And what did you do when he told you?
The same as when it had Lucy Hawthorne.
You stabbed him.
Stab. And they all turned to dust.
The dust. They said there was a lot of dust in the cell.
Ashes to ashes.
Are you saying he actually turned to dust?
A vessel without life, decomposed but held together. And when it leaves, All that remains is dust.
You stabbed him and he turned to dust. So they thought he'd vanished. But Lucy Hawthorne didn't turn to dust. There was a post-mortem on her body. Dr. Willett, Lucy Hawthorne did not turn to dust. They had her body.
A body, but whose body? And I poured boiling water over my head?
You're saying the body wasn't hers, or that the post-mortem was fake?
It's all fake. All of it. All this room, this place, this life. It's all just an illusion. Because we can't see what's really there, or we'll...
Well, what?
We'll go insane.
I threw up on the pavement as soon as I got outside. I didn't believe what I'd heard. I couldn't believe it, or I wouldn't. But I knew it fitted with what Kennedy had told me, and what Dr. Allen and Barbara Sayers and Godfrey Tillinghast and whoever else believed. This version of a world that's completely alien to everything that I can see and touch and taste and hear. And of course, like any religion, these people have an explanation for why I can't see the world as they do. Because I'm not woke or enlightened or whatever. Because I don't have faith. And so I can't disprove any of this any more than I can really prove it. I called Kennedy, but she didn't pick up, so I got into a cab and went to her flat. She didn't answer the door. I had a key because she'd had me watering her plants while she was in America, so I let myself in. Kennedy wasn't there, neither was Ezra. I don't even know if they'd gone back there when they left the studio. There was no luggage, no sign anyone had been by. The last few days' post was still on the doormat. I don't know where Kennedy is. This story's over now. I don't know what happens to Red Hook or to the podcast now. I'm just going to put this out there and see what happens. I'm Matthew Hayward, and this was The Mystery Machine.
Right, well, there we go. That's it. Kennedy's in the wind. Matthew kind of figured out what happened to some extent. There we go. The case of Charles Dexter Ward. I hope you enjoyed that. I did. Now, if anybody wants to go on, the story does continue. Well, it flows into The Whisperer in Darkness. So it receives a similar treatment. In fact, they continue straight off the back of Charles Dexter Ward. It's the story of The Whisperer in Darkness transposed to the United Kingdom, but with also strands in the US. Let me know if you're interested in carrying on. I might take 1 week's break to do that, and then come back and maybe just do double episodes from now on. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Alright, until next time.
Hi, you're through to the offices of the Mystery Machine podcast. We're taking a break for the moment, but we'll be checking messages, so please speak after the tone.
Hey, it's me. Sorry to take off without, weird times. Anyway, Ezra and I are in Baghdad. I know, right? But we've tracked down Melody Cartwright. She's here with Barbara Sayers and some other guy who's all covered in bandages. We've been watching them for a couple of days, and they've mostly stayed inside their hotel. But this morning, they headed out in a pickup with all their luggage and a local guide. We think they're headed up to Mosul, to the ruins of Nineveh. We're going to go out after them, but I need you to get me some recording equipment couriered out to Mosul because my machine just gave up the ghost and I can't find anything reliable here. Call me back on this number as soon as you get this. I'm running out to meet a guide. Ezra wants a word with you, okay? Call me back. I'll be back in an hour.
Mr. Haywood, it's Ezra